Hi everyone, this is Veronica and today we are going to talk about some structural reform for decarbonizing India. Decarbonization of India is very important. Why and how it can be done, we'll discuss that. So for my video updates, you can follow me on Instagram, and for the PDF of this lecture, it will be uploaded on my Facebook profile and on my Telegram channel. So guys, if you're preparing for any government exam, our pen drive and tablet courses are also available. For additional information, you can visit our website or you can call on these numbers given on the screen. And now from the exam point of view, you should know the full form of this and what it does, what reports it's giving. That's very important. And mains need, what is the need of decarbonization, how it can be done, and it covers your paper 3, this part of your paper 3, right? So there's a question for you. Consider the following statements regarding coal. Coal is a fossilized form of wood. Second is anthracite is the purest form of coal with maximum carbon content. Bituminous coal is most commonly used in coal-based thermal power plants, and bituminous coal burns with minimum smoke and do not leave any ash. So which statements are right? You can give your correct answer in the comment box. In the end of the lecture, I'll explain you the answer. So now let's talk about what is the issue. See, rapid economic growth is often driven by an increase in energy demand, right? And consequently high carbon dioxide emissions also. Now earlier this year, you know that our country, India, it has surpassed France to become the 6th largest economy of the world. You all know this fact. Now it is also one of the world's fastest growing economies, poised to become the 3rd largest by 2028. Now what I told you here, that rapid economic growth, these 2 points show that our country is growing rapidly economically, and there will be high energy demands and high emissions of carbon dioxide. Now in the lead up to the Paris Agreement on climatic change, India has committed to cut down its emission intensity of GDP by 33% to 35% below 2005 levels by 2030, and to achieving 40% of its electricity generation capacity from non-fossil sources by the same year. Now, India could do more to help the global temperature rise well below 2 degrees while simultaneously achieving its sustainable development goals, right? So, structural reforms are now needed to facilitate India's decarbonization, similar to structural reforms that are critical for achieving higher and equitable economic growth. So, you see, there is a need for structural reforms. So how we can achieve and what is the problem? So firstly, we will talk about how we can facilitate this decarbonization. Firstly, we'll talk about electricity sector, then your banking sector, right? These two are very important. Now see, India's electricity pricing policy needs to be significantly revised. Why? Because current policy, what is there? There are a lot of subsidies. Electricity prices, subsidies on electricity prices for agricultural and residential consumers, right? While there is a penalizing high amount of money is charged from commercial and industrial consumers. Now the research by CEEW is Council on Energy, Environment and Water. Okay, now research by this CEW, it has found that the business as usual scenario, the industrial sector, okay, would account for 1/3 India's carbon dioxide emissions by 2050. That is very huge, right? In the absence of electricity pricing reforms, it would be next to impossible to mitigate these direct carbon emissions from India's industrial sector. So we need to shift these emissions of the electricity generation sector through electrification, and in turn mitigating the emissions via renewable and other low carbon electricity sources. So we need low carbon electricity sources. Okay, so there's another, this was about electricity pricing. Now in the electricity sector again, we need to revamp the market designs of India's electricity sector, which is a must do point. Now see, for absorbing greater percentage of VRE is variable renewable energy, like solar energy, wind energy. If we need these kind of energies into the grid, conventional power plants, especially which run on coal, these are the conventional power plants, they need to operate differently, right? Currently most coal power plants operate to serve the base load demand. Usually our electricity needs are met through coal. Okay, so in the future with higher share of VRE, if there will be higher share of VRE, and I told you VRE is variable in renewable energy resources, India's electricity mix such as plants would primarily operate to only serve mid-peak demand, peak demand and super peak demand. So there are like some liberalized electricity market in the world, like that of EU, European Union and US, which are already finding integrating renewable energy bit difficult. So for India, it's gonna be more difficult. So what is the challenge in front of India? The challenge is very complex, because where we are likely to have different power plants operating under different market paradigms. So if the electricity market design is not reformed, and the share of renewable crosses around 40%, there will be tussles started between thermal power generators and VRE generators due to loss of revenue to the former sector, and it could become very frequent, right? So that is why we need reforms for that. Now let's come to the banking sector reforms, which are very important for meeting India's ambitious renewable energy goals. Again, the research by CEW, they have highlighted in the past that cost of finance contributes to 60% of total cost of solar electricity in India. Now for years, our banking sector has been plagued by NPA. And those are non-performing assets. So a risk-averse banking sector means they give less capital and high interest rates. Okay, for unconventional energy businesses. So to reach scale and to rapidly, availability of adequate capital is very important for and that too with favorable interest rates that will make or break the transition to clean energy resources. Now only banking sector reforms can ultimately assure this, that we are achieving decarbonization, we are going towards low carbon economy. Now it's about bond market. Now see, India's bond market needs to take off. How? See, while green bonds, they are being used for supporting renewable energy, but India ironically does not have well functioning larger bond market. There's a lot of problem with our bond market. So unless this bond market reforms are undertaken at a larger scale for deepening the capital markets in India, its immense potential will be largely untapped. We won't be able to use the potential of bond market in India. So what could be the probable way forward? See, under a changing climate, extreme weather, events like floods in Kerala are becoming very common across the country. So we need to do something with this carbon emissions, because ultimately it is affecting the climate and we need to change climate for the positive results, right? So India needs to meet decarbonization goals not only for meeting climatic commitments but also its economic targets and for fulfilling its human development objectives. So the government has taken several steps to decarbonize the Indian economy. Incentives like those for renewable energy or electric vehicles are not enough. So we have actually brought a lot of policies, lot of things, but they are still not enough. So India's successful transition to a low carbon economy depends upon our effective implementation of larger structural reforms, which we just talked about. So this was about decarbonization of our country. If you have any queries, you can contact me, and answer of this is 1, 2 and 3. All 3 statements are right and 4th statement is wrong, right? So PDF will be uploaded on this channel also. Thank you.